The big grand prize of this 2022 NBA offseason is Kevin Durant. Big question is, where will he end up? Now, personally, I think it's more likely than anything now that he's going to stay with the Brooklyn Nets. I think that the well is kind of dried up in many ways. And I think the teams that could put a package together to acquire Kevin Durant aren't teams that are going to want to give up those assets. Outside of the Warriors, I don't think anybody really has enough to go get Kevin Durant based on the Nets asking price and still remain a competitor. But a team, thanks to Jake Fischer from yesterday, he put out a report of the Miami Heat. Now, the Miami Heat, we know, were linked to Donovan Mitchell for some time. Basically, Miami's always linked to every single big star player. Pat Riley, he loves himself the stars. It makes sense. The Miami Heat make a world of sense for Donovan Mitchell because the Miami Heat, they have basically everything except for that go-to scorer. And Donovan Mitchell would fit in beautifully in that because he could kind of just be himself. You know, Jimmy Butler, he proved he's a guy that can go out there, get you 40 a night, do what is necessary, but he's not a scorer. He's not a natural scorer like Donovan Mitchell is. Jimmy Butler is kind of your Swiss Army knife, the guy that can do everything, right? The guy that could get you a triple-double, the guy that can play defense and is that grit and that hustle and just that drive. He's putting up 40 points, not because he's just so skilled offensively. It's just out of pure will and force and determination. A lot of that's just him just bullying his way into the basket, drawing the foul, getting the and one, just being too strong. Where Donovan Mitchell, he opens up an array of various things. And the Utah Jazz, they're going to be hitting that reset button. Donovan Mitchell makes a lot of sense because he's a lot more obtainable than somebody like Kevin Durant. Donovan Mitchell, you probably don't have to sell the farm on. You give up a bunch of draft picks, you give up, Tyler Hero, maybe a couple other guys, Vincent, maybe Strus, somebody like that, somebody along those lines that you could kind of give up, give some nice assets, give a potential star and Tyler Hero, and then you get Donovan Mitchell and you're off to the races and you're probably winning an NBA championship. I think Miami is at least in the NBA Finals last year with Donovan Mitchell. I think that they would have probably dismantled the Boston Celtics in probably 5 or 6 games if they had Donovan Mitchell, just the way that series went on. So I think that Miami is willing to do whatever it takes to kind of be those people. They were in the NBA Finals 2 years ago, right, in the 2020 bubble. So they obviously want to get back there. Pat Riley is a guy, he will get what he wants. He's a guy that will do whatever is necessary to get the trade and get it done and trade whatever assets if he believes that it'll put him in a position to win an NBA title. But Donovan Mitchell doesn't appear to be the number one target for the Miami Heat, although personally I think he should be because, again, I think he's a lot more obtainable. But according to Jake Fischer, Kevin Durant is the number one target, that they are putting the Donovan Mitchell acquisition on the back burner and trying to pursue Kevin Durant. That is their prize, and they are willing to run the risk of losing Donovan Mitchell to try to acquire Kevin Durant. Now, this could go into kind of the consensus thought, which is that Donovan Mitchell is going to the Knicks, that the Knicks want him, he wants to go to the Knicks, and the Knicks would very likely put together whatever package is necessary to acquire Donovan Mitchell. That's kind of the thought process right now, and it's very likely that could be the case. So maybe Miami's looking at it as like, we're not going to be able to compete with the Knicks for Donovan Mitchell, and, he's great, but he's not Kevin Durant great. So if we're going to give up and sell the farm, then why not go and do it for Kevin Durant? So I imagine however many draft picks they have left, which is kind of interesting because they are in a very weird draft situation. Although that they did make the trade last year that kind of freed up a lot of those, stipulations, things like that. So they did acquire the rights to some of their draft picks, but they don't have a ton of tradable picks for the next, several years. So that is pretty interesting how they're going to make that work. Maybe the hope is you get Tyler Hero, you give up, 3 or 4 picks, maybe some pick swaps. Basically, you just go to the Nets and say, what do you want? We'll give it to you. Can't have Bam because you have, Ben Simmons and Jimmy Butler. He's the only guy that's untradeable. So outside of those two, pick whoever you want. We'll give you every young guy we have. We'll give you Tyler Hero. We'll give you all of the picks we have that we can trade to you. Give us Kevin Durant. That is something Pat Riley would probably do because he values those big top superstars more than anything else, because he understands that those are the guys that win championships. Those are the guys that'll get you to the promised land. And a trio of Kevin Durant, Jimmy Butler, and Bam Adebayo is arguably the best team in the NBA. And they'd still have other pieces in line to continue to be successful. Even if you give up something along the lines of like Tyler Hero, Kyle Lowry, say Strus, Vincent, and then 4 or 5 picks. You're giving 4 or 5 players and you're giving, 4 picks, something like that. Maybe that package gets it. I personally don't think that is enough to entice the Nets to trade Kevin Durant, especially to the Heat, which is in the same conference. I think that the asking price for Kevin Durant is too ridiculous right now. And I just don't, and that's why I don't understand the Jake Fischer report, because it's like, I understand that Kevin Durant is far and away the better player. If you could get Kevin Durant, that's great. You go get Kevin Durant. But he's not obtainable to the level that Donovan Mitchell is. Like, Donovan Mitchell, I think, is realistic for the Miami Heat to acquire. And I think he does a lot of the same things you want from Kevin Durant. It doesn't mean he's the best player, that he's the better player, but he's, at the very least, he provides what you need, which is that go-to scorer. That guy that could get you 25 night in and night out. The Heat, they have the wings, they have the size, they have the play. They literally have everything you need except for a go-to scorer. And I think that Miami, if they take what they have right now, I think Donovan Mitchell is obtainable. I don't think there's anything. Literally, I think the Heat could take everything they have except for Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo and say, here, give us Kevin Durant. And I don't think the Nets would do that, because their picks aren't going to be good. Their picks are going to be terrible because they're going to be likely a contender. So you're talking, 28 to 30, pick in the draft. So the picks are going to be awful. All the assets outside of Tyler Hero, everyone else is just kind of a role guy. A lot of those guys are surprisingly older. Like, I think it's Strus or Vincent is like 27 already, things like that. Like, so it's not like you're getting some, 20-year-old that you're like, okay, well, he was really solid for them. And, he's 20, has a lot of room to grow. What if he's not just a role player? What if he's a better, starter? Like, what if he's like a legit guy? You get Tyler Hero. Yeah, Tyler Hero's good, but he's not great. I mean, he's not even starting for the Heat because Pat Riley wants him to learn how to play defense first. So it's a tough sell for Kevin Durant, where I think it's not for Donovan Mitchell. I think, if you, between these two, the entire league would take Kevin Durant over Donovan Mitchell. But again, it comes down to availability, comes down to like how achievable is that? Not just another point, since speaking of availability, is that Kevin Durant's missed like 30 games a season the last several seasons. I mean, he didn't even play the entire season 3 seasons ago. So you got to take that into mind. Where Donovan Mitchell's probably going to play 70 plus games, maybe 60 at the worst, and he fits that culture. He fits everything. I just think that if you could get Donovan Mitchell, you go get Donovan Mitchell. I think Kevin Durant is. Yeah, he's the grand prize, but the mid-major prize is not that bad. It's not that bad of a difference. It's like having a $500 in cash or a $500 gift card somewhere. It's like, yeah, it's still you're still getting $500. You're still getting the same thing. It's just one is you'd rather have the cash, right? Yeah, I get that, but here's a Amex card with $500 on it. You could still spend it the same. It still does the same thing for you. It just is not the cash. You can't, show it off, stuff like that. That's kind of how I feel about Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is what you want, but the downside is not really a downside. It's beneficial. But anyway, that's my opinion. So as always, I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. What do you think? Do you think that Miami's making the right decision by putting Donovan Mitchell on the back burner to go and pursue Kevin Durant? Do you think no? Go get Donovan Mitchell. He's more obtainable. It makes it easier. He provides the same thing. Again, this is just a Jake Fischer report. I don't know how true this is. I don't know if it's, he just made it up. I don't know. I've just heard it. Thought it made for an interesting conversation because, Kevin Durant, he's great, but I just don't know how the Nets or how the Heat make that happen. I don't think the Nets would want to take on what Miami could have. I think that they would probably rather just keep him for the year and then kind of rehash this the following. Because like I said, Kevin Durant goes to Miami. Those picks are terrible. It's not like you're going to get lottery picks. You're going to get, into the draft picks. So that's not really beneficial if you're them. To be fair, that's probably the case for most of the teams he goes to, but still, that's why they want like an all-star level player or two, because they know anywhere he goes, the draft picks aren't going to be very valuable. Draft picks are going to kind of suck. So we need to get a player or two that is somebody that can help us win now. And you got to keep in mind, the Brooklyn Nets, they can't tank. They don't own their own picks till like 2028. So they have to currently be as good and competitive as possible. And I don't know if Miami's package is enough to do that. But that's my opinion. Again, love to hear yours. Let me know down in the comment section below. One last little shameless plug is I did start As It Stands Lakers. It is a channel just like this, dedicated to only the Lakers, because the Lakers are my favorite team. And on this channel, As It Stands, I talk about all teams, all sports, stuff like that. We have football season coming up, so I'm definitely looking forward to that as well. And I just wanted to make a dedicated channel to the Lakers to give the ins and outs. Now, all the big stuff, all the big news and stuff, I will still post here on this channel. But if you want all the ins and outs and just rumors and theories and just discussions just strictly on the Lakers, link down in the description or in the comment section. Go check out the channel, subscribe to the channel. I'd really appreciate it. That being said, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot, lets me know you enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button, followed by the bell notification. Stay up to date with all things sports. Join this wonderful community and all of our discussions. I'll see you all in the next one. Thank you.